guys, Kai from Nightwalker Gear. There's been a few questions from you guys regarding which would be a great personal work light for those working in low light conditions, such as maintenance crew and logistics personnel. We thought it would be a good idea to compare the compact work lights from 3 different brands. Let's get on with it. Before we dive into the models in this comparison, I'll point out several factors that I'll look for when getting a work light. First up, the price. Like most things you buy in life, you want the best price to performance ratio. You wouldn't want a work light that is overpriced yet performs similarly to other ones on the market. This also determines the total cost if you are getting multiple sets to equip entire teams. Second, durability and build quality. You want a robust work light that can endure drops, rough handling, sturdy construction. Equipment that is built to last not only ensures longevity but also provides reliability and a peace of mind that your light will continue to function in rough conditions. The third one, quality of life features. Lights that provide QOL features such as proximity activation sensors, proximity shut-off sensors, 1/4" 20 mounts for use with tripods, adjustable tilt heads for lighting angles, magnetic mounting base. Plenty of features make it easier to deploy your light and depending on your specific needs. A lack of some features can be a deal breaker when you're trying to find a perfect work light. Fourth, performance. Simply put, you want your work light to be able to produce powerful light to allow you to see clearly over your work area and therefore be able to work safely. Generally, companies measure light output by lumens. Higher reading generally means a brighter light, although other variables like type of LED used and reflector size can affect the result. Adjustable brightness settings are almost paramount in every quality work light as you only use the lighting strength you require in order to conserve battery power and to prevent potential overheating. And here's a bonus, color temperature. A light's temperature is measured in kelvins or K. A lower temperature such as 3000 K produces a warmer yellowish light, while a higher temperature such as 5000 K produces a cooler bluish light. For work that requires accurate color rendering such as while painting a house or electrical wiring work, lights of a cooler temperature at around 5000 K are ideal. This factor may not matter depending on the task at hand. By considering these key factors, you can make an informed decision when purchasing a work light. It's important to assess your specific needs and requirements to find a work light that meets them effectively. Whether you are a maintenance crew member, a logistics personnel, or simply someone in need of a reliable work light for everyday tasks, taking these factors into account will help you find a perfect lighting solution for your needs. Now finally moving on to the models here. We have the NWL20 from Nitecore, the Swivel, and Swivel Pro from Olight, and finally the RAL501R from ALS. Before we get into what's different about them, let's touch on what they all have in common. Starting from the top in price point, then our way down. Note that these are all compact work floodlights, so they are designed to work in smaller spaces, usually indoors, to provide a wide lighting area so that you can safely see and work in. Similarities. Starting with the RAL, there's a magnetic base mount that you can use on metal surfaces, metal partitions, railings, lampposts, practically anywhere that is ferromagnetic. This opens up a lot of lighting angles, especially if you need a top-down light to prevent personnel walking past the light and momentarily blocking it. The NWL and the Swivel's magnetic mount work similarly. The base swivels and both uses 3 magnets while the RAL uses 2. You can adjust the lighting angle for all 3, but the RAL is done a little differently. Although it can only do 90 degrees, you can rotate the light around to achieve almost the same range as the other 2. One thing to note, although their base mounts look the same, the swivel has a slightly wider angle range than the NWL, allowing you to achieve certain lighting angles depending on your use case. As for the Swivel Pro, the lighting head is also rotatable up to 150 degrees, allowing a wider range of lighting angles, especially when you are using the magnetic base. The Pro also folds out straight instead of slightly over, unlike the standard swivel. All 3 of these have a hook mount. You can tell that both NWL and Swivel does the same outward carabiner style hooks, while the RAL has a pull-out hook that has a ball head, allowing the hook to have a wide range of motion. Although I find that this is a compact work light and they have provided the hook only on one side, the weight of the light still makes it that you can't really adjust the way you will mount the light unless you combine this function with the angle head. And therefore you can mount the RAL and project light sideways, something the NWL and Swivel cannot achieve. but the Swivel Pro can do that due to its rotating base. Other similarities to mention that they all have USB-C charging ports for charging, and all can function while charging, which can be important if you need your work light to be powered for long hours, just like when you are on a tunnel on site and you are powering your lights with a power station. Although there's one thing to keep in mind about the RAL, as the USB-C port is beneath the base. If you're using the magnetic mount to a surface, the port will be blocked and you won't be able to charge it during usage. All models mentioned here support charging while in use, which means you can use these lights indefinitely as long as you can get a power source connected. All of them uses COB LEDs, which stands for chip on board. These LEDs produce a much more intense lumen count, as more individual LEDs are packed into the same space while consuming less energy. The rated lumen count for the NWL is 600 lumens, the Swivel at 400 lumens, the Swivel Pro at 1100 lumens, the RAL finally at 500 lumens. In our test, we found that the 100 lumen difference between the RAL and NWL is almost too hard to tell, with the Swivel just slightly dimmer. The Swivel Pro tops the competition at 1100 lumens on the floodlight setting. These are pretty much where the similarities end. Now on to the differences. Alright, so first question on everybody's mind is usually what's the price of each model? Here's an approximate price list for each work light. 50 USD for the NWL20, 35 USD for the Swivel, 65 USD for the Swivel Pro, and 122 USD for the RAL501R. Keep these prices in mind when I'll go through the features that each work light can provide. Let us compare the first two lights that look like each other. Both of them feature a floodlight and a spotlight. See the NWL spotlight here and a spotlight on the side of the Swivel. The few main differences that the NWL20 is rated for 600 lumens flood, while the Swivel is 400 lumens. During our testing, our both floodlights have about the same amount of coverage and lighting strength, with the NWL20 looking just slightly brighter than the Swivel. Due to different manufacturer testing standards, the rated lumen count of lighting products across brands may not be uniform, so it's more for a reference point rather than accurate lumen performance. The Swivel is rated for 90 hours max runtime on the lowest flood setting, while it's 78 hours for the NWL20, so it kind of matches up to the lumen count and total runtime. As previously mentioned, the Swivel can flip a slightly wider angle than the NWL20, although if you're using the magnetic base mount, you won't access to that extra angle because the wall is going to be here. You can't like go beyond the wall, right? Only when it's hooked onto something. The NWL20 also has a red light and red blinker mode that the Swivel doesn't have, which can be great for preserving peripheral vision, as your eyes will adjust to white light, making it more difficult to see objects out of the cone of light range. The Swivel Pro does have these red modes available. I would assume this function may be omitted to shave down the total price of the basic Swivel. One thing you can do with these flip lights is you can hook the light onto your belt or backpack shoulder strap as a forward light when you're on the move, making this ideal for those who move from place to place a lot and need the light with them at all times. As for the RAL, the lighting head swings out 90 degrees, does not have a spotlight function, utilizes an inbuilt ball head hook which can be tricky to make it stay at the angle you want. However, it does have a 1/4 inch 20 mount on the bottom and side for use with tripods to serve as a more semi-permanent area light. Here comes the bonus feature that only the RAL has, a proximity sensor function. This light will turn off after a minute when no movement is detected and turns right back on when motion is detected. This conserves the battery and ensures it only powers on when you need it. You can turn the proximity sensor off if you want it to be constantly active. The RAL will be for a more permanent setup, like setting the light on a short tripod for a car workshop, only turning on when you're working on a vehicle. Setting a RAL on a tripod also allows access to the USB port on the back, so you can keep it charging during usage. This does not have a red light mode and it functions solely as a compact flood work light for a more permanent setup like in your own garage or workshops. The Swivel Pro is slightly more interesting. It's like the souped up version of the Swivel and the NWL20. It has all the mounting options, including what the RAL has, which is a single 1/4 inch 20 mount on the bottom side. Straight up, you can use the Pro as a top-down light, like this. if there's no objects to hang on or magnetize to. The Pro has a red light mode as mentioned, has a spotlight that's somehow weaker than both the basic swivel and the NWL20. Where it really shines is its floodlight at 1100 lumens on the highest setting. The Pro's little trick up its sleeves is the 150-degree rotation point, meaning you can get an even wider range of lighting angles and quickly adjust it on a tripod without having to remove the light or move the tripod. On a general sense, if my budget wasn't a concern, I would go for the Olight Swivel Pro for obvious reasons. Flood and spotlight modes, red light modes, tripod mount, magnetic base, a carabiner style hook, 2 points of angle adjustments, while still being relatively price friendly. And there's a bonus! This is one feature that the NWL20 has over the other models mentioned, which may be crucial to some users. The ability to swap out the battery using 21700 cells. This means that battery degradation over long-term use and recharging will not be an issue, potentially extending the product lifespan indefinitely. Whether you work in logistics, maintenance, a hobby, fisher, or simply someone seeking a reliable work light for your everyday needs, I hope this video has given you an idea which type of portable floodlight best suits your needs. Thanks for sticking around, and don't forget to like and subscribe to us on Nitecore Gear for more gear reviews, comparisons, and recommendations. Till the next one, and stay safe.